right, welcome back to another episode of the Water Guy Show.
Yes, sir.
And we've got Paul here in the studio.
And we have Ethan here in the studio.
Ethan sounds all plugged up because we're in Virginia, which is the capital of allergies.
And grass allergies. Yeah, grass pollen going crazy right now. So.
It is angry here because we haven't had rain in 2 weeks. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because a couple episodes ago we were talking about how we had the wettest winter on record ever.
Yep.
And I think I might have said it's based on averages, so we're going to have a scorcher of a drought. So unfortunately, it's coming true. All the grass, we're looking out the beautiful picture window at the traffic and the grass, and everything is brown. Just waiting the next deluge of rain, which is a great segue into water.
Yes.
So if you're just new, if you just found us out there, welcome. If you're a repeat loyal listener, thank you again for tuning in. I know we try to put a lot of effort into every single one of these to come up with content that is new, cutting edge, and funny if we can, and informative. Some of them don't turn out quite as entertaining as we had hoped, but for the most part, I think we're doing all right. Man, it's a mad, angry motorcycles.
It's a loud motorcycle.
That's what happens. Everybody's on the motorcycle because it's so friggin' hot out there. It's still like 90s. But today.
What do we have on the docket today?
Today we're going to talk. We titled this one "Unmasking Scammy Water Treatment."
Scammy water treatments.
Yeah. This opened up a whole Pandora's box of stuff. Because we run into a lot of scammy things in the installed side of the business, but it kind of opened up some other like fads that are going around, and hopefully we can help shed a little bit of light on some of that stuff and give you a little bit of some nuggets that can help you. So what we're going to talk here today about is really, water treatment scams. We're going to kind of highlight some of the importance of clean and safe drinking water along the way, obviously, because that's what we do. And, pretty much how to keep yourself safe and some options by the time it's all said and done. We run into these folks all the time because we sell reverse osmosis drinking water systems. And we do that because that's the only way to get reliable, purified water. And when you do that, you're running the water through such a semi-permeable membrane that pretty much almost all the contaminants have been kind of filtered out of it. You won't hear me say the word remove because that is actually going to be mentioned later on as one of the words you got to watch out for with scammy people.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. Anyway, well, hell, let's just jump right into it.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Well, when we're doing our drinking water consultations with folks, we don't talk about things that that might be in the water, some fictitious stuff. We try to relate it to things that are actually in the water, or there are situations where the water is dynamic, right? As we all know. If you're getting your water out of a river, it might be great today, but there may be a train wreck tomorrow upstream, and you may have a whole litany of who knows what coming into the water supply. So there's certain applications where you can talk about like a hypothetical, if this were to happen, you're going to be covered. Actually, on the last episode, we talked a little bit about the customer that just called us up and was asking about the National Boil Water Alert, which we found out the real truth behind that. But her first question was, am I covered? Is this stuff gonna fix it? And after digging through it, even if there was a real boil water alert, yes, the reverse osmosis would definitely be protecting you from almost every single thing that could possibly be put into your water. But back to this episode. What could be in your water is one of those things that you really you need to be aware and prepared. It never ceases to amaze me when we're talking to people and they just kind of have this. I've been drinking from the tap, for 20 years. Nothing's ever gone wrong. Or one of my other big favorites is, oh, I love how the water tastes. Mm-hmm. It's got to be good. And yeah, I think it's in the 95% of all the scariest contaminants have no taste or odor. Mm-hmm. So if you're relying on your taste to tell you if that water is safe, I got news for you. Ethylene glycol apparently tastes pretty good too. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's antifreeze.
Smells good.
It has supposedly a kind of like a Gatorade-like flavor.
Well, I have gotten it in my mouth a few times from my days as a mechanic, and it does not taste like Gatorade.
It doesn't? It doesn't have a sweet taste to it?
Nope.
Animals lap that stuff up. That's why we got to be real careful when if we have a spill.
It's because it smells good. So it smells super sweet, especially when it's like burning. Very nice, but
oh yeah, it does have a weird sticky smell.
Yeah,
but I've heard, now I'm not about to lick it because I've watched way too many documentaries about people being poisoned with the green Gatorade. They thought their wife was bringing them green Gatorade to help them get over their flu, and she was actually poisoning them. So yeah, that tasted wonderful, but it killed them. So don't rely on your sense of taste to tell you if water is safe to drink. So pretty much the safe approach is reverse osmosis. And there's some folks out there that would just love to come up with fake buzzwords like, that's dead water. I can't remember the first time I heard that, and it was out of some sleazy online sales guy that was he was a telephone sales. And I think it was out of New Jersey on that particular one, but we do some sting calls here from the office every once in a while because we like to stay up and coming on what's out there, right? What new fad? Because it seems like these guys are always trying to reinvent themselves as something new. But yeah, I remember this one guy was like, "You can't drink reverse osmosis water; it's dead. It's had all the life removed from it." And we were all like, what kind of hocus pocus is this guy trying to sell people?
First, isn't that the point, though?
Yeah, you want to pull that stuff out of there.
You want to pull life out of your water? In a very literal sense?
Literally, yeah. That's why we sterilize things and try to make sure it doesn't have any life left in it so that it can clean your body and your organs the way it's supposed to.
Right.
So there is nothing wrong with drinking reverse osmosis water. It's actually like the ideal thing. I feel younger every day because I keep drinking more and more water.
You look younger every day.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
He's getting paid extra today for that. So we get, when we're out there in the house, of course, everybody's like, all right, now I realize I need something. I shouldn't be drinking from the tap because that's just terrifying. There's actually a quote. What did that guy say? I highlighted it. I was going to bring it up later, but this is even better than... here it is. Tap water. You're drinking toilet water with birth control drugs in it. That was the founder of this startup company when he was being interviewed by the Times. But I thought that was a great quote. You're drinking toilet water with birth control drugs in it. It's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And now we'll talk a little bit more about that one later on because he's kind of a sketchy dude himself. But those are the kind of lines that they'll throw out there, and they'll take a little bit of truth, and they'll try to basically scare you into buying something. Yeah. But we get folks that are trying to compare us to the other options that are out there. And that's, there's a lot of options, man. You can go blind if you just do an internet search and look for, bottled beverages. You'll find everything.
We just saw Soleil.
Yeah, we saw Soleil, which we're going to dig into the Soul water. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but so what? It's our show. We can pronounce it wrong.
Soul what?
I'm calling it Sol because that one was Soleil, and I think that
Right.
was the brand. They were playing off the Sol. I think they were trying to like capture some of the marketing. But anyway, so the options, we'll get into that one. I
Yeah.
have that on the agenda. Some of the options that we run into are I'll just drink bottled water. And, well, heck, let's just go ahead and jump right into the fads.
Let's do it.
All right. So we have identified 6 current fads that are pretty, pretty common,
Right.
at least now. Now, a fad, by definition, really is something that's just temporarily exciting and hot and popular. So these things are going to die off once people realize that there's really nothing to it. The first one, alkaline water. We've talked about that before, and I call this one a fad because it really is a fad. And if you believe in the alkaline water, I'm sorry, we need to open your eyes.
You mean the alkaline water I get at Wawa isn't real?
Yep, that's exactly right. It's real. It's really pulling money out of your pocket. But yes, alkaline water is one of those things that the origin of how this supposedly became so popular is somebody was like, all right, we need to really leverage people's fears about health and cancer. So somebody published some report that said that cancer allegedly can't survive in an alkaline environment. So they went and ran with this, and they basically said, oh, you need to be drinking alkaline water so that it'll protect you from cancer. Now, I personally despise people that use cancer as a scare tactic.
Right.
I may have mentioned it before, but yeah, I've lost literally half of my immediate family from cancer. So we don't play around with stuff like that.
Right.
And these guys that are out there trying to make money on that, they're I get it. They're trying to make money, but pick something a little bit less deadly. Pick something more benign.
Right.
So the whole cancer aspect gets people's attention, and I'll just tell the story again if I know I've done it before, but years ago I used to be a lot more gentle with the clients that I was out there kind of educating, and I had this one nurse that she had one of those. I'll just call it out because it was a Kangen machine. That's one of the most expensive ones that I was aware of at the time. And she wanted to hook up a reverse osmosis to make sure that her Kangen alkaline water machine was actually getting the best quality water. Made sense. And she believed in alkaline water, and I didn't really want to burst her bubble. So we hooked that thing up, and she was always kind of battling some health things. She missed a lot of appointments, or had to reschedule because she had some issues going on, and they were always like digestive related. So basically, we went back in there to do some service work, and she was finally. It was actually me going out there doing it, and I was like, hey, let me try something. Let me go ahead and just bypass your Kangen machine altogether. Let's just see how you do on perfect water. And because she was telling me, I've always got GI problems and this and that. Well, I kind of told her because she wanted to know why I wanted to do this, and I said, here's the physiology of what's really happening inside your body. Your water goes into your stomach first, and your stomach alkaline water, for those of you that don't know, typically has a pH of around somewhere in the 9s. It's a very basic, you've got a pH scale of 0 to 14, and 7 is neutral, so anything above 7 is basic, and the further you get away, it's even more and more basic. And pH and alkalinity they're not the same, they're related, but in this instance, they're related enough that high alkaline water has a 9.5 in this particular example that we're given here. And the stomach, when you're digesting food, typically has a pH of 1 to 2. So that is extremely acidic. That's literally your stomach is producing hydrochloric acid. If you can remember from back when I was in school, they would even tell us, yeah, you have hydrochloric acid in your stomach. That always used to amaze me that we could, have that inside our bodies and it wouldn't just eat holes and everything.
Right.
But it does. Those are called ulcers. Ask Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He's battling with that now. But anyway, when you put food in your stomach, it's the goal of your stomach is to digest that food and basically turn it into little teeny tiny particles that can be digested. So it uses stomach acids to break down tissues and things, and it has enzymes in your stomach. It's a nice little healthy ecosystem, and if you don't have all those beneficial bacteria that thrive in that environment, things go to hell in a handbasket pretty damn quick. So it's a delicate balance. Now, if you can imagine you eat food, you go to Taco Bell or whatever, and you have your tacos, and it's in your stomach, and your stomach is like, hey, let's make sure your pH drops, because obviously when there's food in it, it tries to produce acid to help break it down. So it starts to produce the acid to maintain this pH of a 1 to 2. And here you are giving it a bath in 9.5. So 9.5 just takes that acidic environment and completely neutralizes. So your stomach doesn't have a choice, but it produces more stomach acid. And all these people on the internet can go ahead and argue all day long, but you cannot make your stomach work in an alkaline environment. It cannot. It can't work.
Right.
So what she was doing is she was basically eating, and then she was neutralizing the stomach acids, and the food would have to pass from the stomach on. So it wasn't digesting, it was rotting. So her digestive system was full of rotten food. So I remember, like yesterday, it was, I want to say within a week or two, she called me up and she said, you get that damn Kangen out of my house. She said, I haven't felt this good in years. And it was literally because the Kangen was messing me up, my whole GI system.
Right.
So ever since then, I am no longer gentle with the whole alkaline thing. And that was years ago. That was back when the stuff really, it felt like it just started.
Right.
So now I just tell people the way it is, and I'm not going to apologize for helping somebody's health, because that's a real life example that that's what this is all about. But anyway, that's alkaline water. So you can get tons of alkaline water. You can get it at the big box stores. You can get it at Costco. I mean, Costco even has their Kirkland brand. I mean, they've even branded their own. And I get people that go, well, if it's not good for you, then why does Costco sell it? I said, they sell it because you'll buy it. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. It's just pure marketing.
It's a super.
They need money.
Wholesale store.
Yep.
Yeah.
They appeal to your needs and wants, and boom, you give them your money in bulk, and you get a great savings on alkaline water. So, yeah, that's the spiel on alkaline water. Mm-hmm. Now. So I tried to break down all of these current fads in kind of a way that we could compare them cost-wise. And I did that because, pretty much I just wanted everybody to see, in terms of dollars per gallon, on average, what we have found on the cost of these different fad waters. So alkaline water comes in at $25 a gallon. $25 a gallon. That's a lot of money for water.
Yeah.
Considering that with your own reverse osmosis system at home, the maintenance cost on that thing, even with extra flex filters and having us do it, is less than 40 cents a gallon. So 40 cents, $25. If you're looking to save money in this economy, and you know that you're going to not just save money today, but literally for the rest of your life, invest in a good drinking water system, and you will be good. So alkaline water, $25 a gallon. The next one, actually, there's one. Well, no, we'll talk about that later. Next one, hydrogen water.
Hydrogen water.
This one is one of those people are gonna. I'm not gonna. Okay. All water is hydrogen water. Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't remember basic school, water is H2O. Two of hydrogen, 1 of oxygen.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
There you go. Dihydrogen monoxide. Yep, it is refreshing. There is hydrogen in all water. It's just how it is.
There's 2 hydrogens approximately.
A couple of them, yeah. Twice as much hydrogen as oxygen. So somebody decided that you know what, we're going to go ahead and tap into these niche markets of water, because bottled water is it's over $100 billion just in the U.S. alone, if I remember the number correctly, per year. So it's a massive, massive number. So all these folks are out there trying to get their hand into the till, and hydrogen water seems to be one of the latest things that came up. And I first remember seeing this probably 2, maybe 3 years ago. And it was one of those like infomercial things. Late at night I got suckered into it because that's just what I do. And actually it sounds good. Like any good fad, they want to suck you in with some message that you go, oh, that actually makes sense. And then you're like, man, I need to try this. You know, what if they're right? Well, I'm not saying that hydrogen water is a scam. I'm saying that it's not going to hurt you. The hydrogen in the water is not going to hurt you unless, now keep in mind, hydrogen is an extremely flammable gas.
Yeah.
Is it Hindenburg? That's the one, right? The one that the Zeppelin, that big blimp that all the people were on, and the thing crashed and it burst into flames.
Yeah.
I think it was Hindenburg. Is that right? We've got our fact checking going on right now because I know people are like, I don't know, maybe it was the Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin. It went down like a Led Zeppelin, hence the
Excuse me. Flight.
Hindenburg, I'm pretty sure. And it was in Germany. There's some crazy stuff on this. I love this office.
Disaster.
Yep, that's the one.
Horizontal.
The Hindenburg. So those of you that are like don't want to wait around for him to pull up all the details. So a blimp, the Goodyear blimp. Everybody's seen the Goodyear blimp thing floating around. They used to use those. The concept was they were going to actually use those like airplanes, and they're going to float people around, and it was a giant balloon, so to speak.
Right.
But most balloons that we use nowadays have helium in them. Well, helium was more expensive and, just more expensive, and it was harder to get a hold of in quantities like that. So, guess what they filled the Hindenburg with?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Yep.
Because hydrogen is a gas that is less dense than air, which means it's a fancy way for saying it floats. Mm-hmm. So they filled this thing with flammable gas.
And so it looks like some sort of electric spark.
Kablooey.
Yeah, probably like a buildup of static electricity sparked the hydrogen. And what made it worse is that the diesel in the engine of the Hindenburg just kept burning and burning and burning and burning, and that's why it lasted so long and the flames lasted so long, was because of the fuel. But hydrogen got sparked by static electricity, and things went boom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Then that's why we don't use hydrogen in blimps anymore. No bueno. So hydrogen, that was a very bizarre little path that we took off of hydrogen water, but it proves the point. Basically, what they're trying to do with hydrogen water is they're just infusing it with hydrogen. No different than if you have the Soda Stream, the little device that you put your water bottle, special water bottle on there, and you push the button, and it basically takes carbon dioxide and it shoots it down into the water and it carbonates it. That's all it is. Same exact process they use for soda in every single restaurant that exists in America. But instead of using CO2, they're shooting hydrogen into it, which I'm going to do some experiments of my own on this to just see what the after effects are. And there's only so much of a concentration you can hit before it must ruin the flavor. Because anybody that knows, you could take water and you could shoot it with you can shoot it with the soda stream and turn it into soda. It tastes different because of it creates the carbonic acid, so to speak. And I have heard that the hydrogen will do the same thing. We're trying to verify that, but we're trying to do it in such a way we don't blow up the office. Because it's kind of hard to get tanks of hydrogen in here and retrofit the soda stream. Yeah. But we're working on that. So if there's no more episodes, that means it did not go as planned.
Yeah, and me and Paul blew up.
Yep, we blew up. Well, it'll probably be me, and it'll be an Ethan solo finale next time. But yeah, they basically take hydrogen, they shove it in the water. So I'm at a dilemma here, actually. I'm not a fan of it because it doesn't cause anything negative. It's not like doing it is going to cause you any harm. It's just not going to give you any benefit.
Right.
And there's some studies out there. In my opinion, these are some sketchy studies, and it's not just me. There's some. The exact word was Let's see. Nutrition professor Sarah Ash from North Carolina State University stated, there is some data about the benefits of hydrogen water, but to date, most of it comes from non-randomized, open-label, or single-blind trials on limited numbers of people for short periods and therapeutic, not general health effects. So, the only real thing that I pulled out of that somebody was like, it made me recover faster. Well, one of the studies apparently showed that highly trained athletes, like cyclists, recovered a little bit faster after drinking hydrogen water than the normal person. But actually, it went a little further than that. The normal person that drank hydrogen water had no impact. So you can, if you're an untrained person or a highly trained person, if you drink hydrogen water, the highly trained person may have a slight recovery advantage.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not a highly trained cyclist, so there's going to be no impact to me, other than the fact that I just feel better drinking hydrogen.
Right.
So, so Stacy in the office here, she's a riot. She helps with the content on a lot of these things. She's going to kill me when she hears this on the actual air, but she doesn't know it. But we can hear her. She has these belches. I'm just going to say it. She belches occasionally, and it sounds like a man. So I told her when we were doing the research on this one, I said, you know what? I'm going to get a highly dosed amount of hydrogen water that we're going to make, and we're going to hold a lighter out, and we're going to have you do the belch. And my brother-in-law highly advised that we do not do that because she may lose like her face. So I don't know. We're back and forth. So there more to come on Stacy's flammable belches. It's actually, she was telling me that it's a Sprite challenge on TikTok. You know what she's talking about?
I do know what she's talking about.
Oh gosh, I haven't heard anything about that, but yeah, she's like, I guess, dying to try that because she's got natural ability. So yeah, hydrogen water. We had a lot of fun with that. We were actually watching some videos today about how flammable hydrogen is. Some pretty cool stuff. You don't realize, like, it's lighter than air, so you can fill these like test tubes up with hydrogen. You hold them upside down and basically let it kind of fill up, and it pushes the air out. So as long as you hold it upside down, it's still in there. And then this guy was basically moving those upside down test tubes over a candle, and I was expecting it to like have the shooting out flame thing.
Right.
It wasn't at all what I expected. It was like a thunk, and actually it was almost the exact same sound as what I just did. It's kind of amazing, actually. Huh. And it got the attention of everybody clear across the room. So everybody was like, "What the heck is that noise?" And it was, of course, the hydrogen popping. It was the weirdest thing because it would stay. It was like a slow burn inside there. So yeah, hydrogen doesn't really explode. We were all waiting for the test tube to just explode all over this guy because he was like 90 years old and he'd already made quite a few mistakes. Things didn't go the way he wanted to on his YouTube video. But he was obviously a very experienced science teacher.
Right.
So we were talking. It's kind of funny because we were talking about how all water is hydrogen water, and I was like, you know what? When I was a kid, I was kind of a weird kid, believe it or not, in Iowa. Nothing to do. So this is before the internet. Good grief! This is back in the late 70s.
Oh my goodness, there was a time before the internet?
Yeah, I remember I had to learn. We had the encyclopedias.
Uh-huh.
You probably don't even have encyclopedias anymore. But yeah, that's literally like how I learned, how I just kind of would entertain myself. Because when you're in the middle of literally nowhere with your friend is your neighbor who's like a mile away, you better be in darn good shape if you just want to run over to say hi, because phones weren't exactly private back then either. We had the rotary dial, which you've never even seen one of those probably.
In an antique store.
Yes, in an antique store. Where they actually, you had to like put your finger in the hole and turn it, like rotate the whole thing, and then let it go and wait for it to come back on the spring. It was just crazy. But anyway, so I was fascinated by science when I was a little kid, and I was telling Stacy today, I was like, yeah, I used to make hydrogen in the basement. So she was like looking at me like I was all crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's welcome to my world. Yeah, we do you get a car battery and a couple of electrodes and wires and hook it up, and you get your water, and you basically flip it upside down and flip your beakers upside down over the electrodes in water that's slightly conducive, and one beaker fills up twice as fast as the other one.
Huh.
And that one is hydrogen. So H2O, right? So you get two hydrogens to one oxygen.
Wow.
That's
So
how
you're just splitting it molecularly?
Splitting it up.
That's awesome.
You're splitting the molecular bond. Yeah, and here I was like 9 years old, like splitting water, and here I am, 54 years later. No, not later, but at 54, I'm focusing on water. It's kind of funny how life comes full circle. But yeah, I used to make hydrogen. We had great fun with that. It wasn't quite as explosive as you would think, but the oxygen was fun too, because you could play with that side. But tell you what, we've kind of beaten the dead horse on hydrogen water, except the price. We didn't talk about the price, did we?
Yeah, no, we didn't talk about the price yet.
So remember, alkaline water was $25 a gallon.
Uh-huh.
Hydrogen water, $48 a gallon. Is what we're finding. And these are just average numbers of what we see out there. And there is a crap ton of it available.
Of course.
So
before we go on a break, I found a Reddit forum about it. It's r/chemistry. One person said, "I can sell you water charged with hydrogen too. It's called concentrated sulfuric acid." And then someone on a little bit more of an aggressive note said, "Have you seen the hexagonal BS rendering they try to pass off as a diagram of the molecular structure? It legit drew it like a freaking benzene ring and said water does that."
Oh my gosh.
So people already know that this hydrogen infused water is
it's just friggin' hydrogen bubbled into the water, and they're forcing it to be under pressure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guarantee you open up this hydrogen water and it's gonna go. It's got to be under pressure, because otherwise, water does not just grab a hold of hydrogen. You've got to literally like force it in there.
Right.
But we're gonna let you listen to a word from our sponsors, and we're gonna be back with the remaining four of the top current fads.
Awesome.
Paul here, and I am your sponsor. I just wanted to let everybody ponder this little fact. When you go to a restaurant and they offer you water, do you really know what they're offering you in that glass? Because it's most likely the exact same water that is used to flush the toilet. You deserve better water than what's going in your toilet, demand better. Demand table water that's been purified. Reach out to 877-60-WATER for more information on how you can get your local restaurant involved. We will travel anywhere. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, we are back from the break.
Yes, we are.
We are, and we were chit-chatting about something that doesn't have really that much to do with water, but about beverages in general.
Right, yeah. The Pepsi's been doing this thing in the past couple of years where they, instead of infusing their sodas with CO2, they infuse it with nitrogen.
That is just bizarro.
Yeah, and it adds like a kind of a creamier taste to the soda, which is nice, but it just tastes like flat soda, which is a little disappointing. But
yeah, because I don't know if nitrogen is an inert gas.
Yeah.
So I don't think it makes it acidic.
Right.
So the bite that you get, I could see how you would have a little bit of flat soda from. It's still bubbly.
Yeah.
But it's just not. That doesn't bite your tongue the crisp same way.
Yeah, it feels like. It feels like a blend of less bubbly, but also like the bubbles are really, really small. You know what I mean? And it just like, instead of it like punching you in the mouth while you drink it, it just kind of glides, which is nice, but not what I think of when I drink soda.
Yeah, you can almost look forward to the refreshing bite.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's part of the experience.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking cool. No, that we, at this point, it's probably out there. Nitrogen water. It probably is. Yeah. But it would kind of be pointless. But the next one on my list is related to the hydrogen water. It's called, take a guess, oxygen water.
Okay.
It was kind of funny because we were doing our digging on hydrogen water, and I told everybody in the office, I said, you know what, we're going to set up an oxygen machine here. I'm going to make oxygen infused water. And then I'm like, great. I know it already must exist because I can't be the first person to come up with this idea. At least oxygen is beneficial.
Right.
Right? You have to have it for respiration. You'll die without oxygen. So there could be some true health impact.
Yeah.
So of course, we did some digging, and yes, there is oxygen water already out there. Besides H2O, it's just H2OO. A little bit of extra O thrown in there.
H2O.
H2O, yes. H2O2. No, that's different. That's peroxide. We don't want peroxide. Peroxide is not as palatable as you might imagine.
Yeah.
But oxygen water is basically the same thing as hydrogen water. It's just been bubbled, kind of like your nitrogen that you were just talking about. It's just introducing a different gas into it. But it's not cheap. It's actually one of the cheaper alternatives. It's cheaper than alkaline water, believe it or not. And the average price that we found online for ordering your oxygen water was $18.67 a gallon. These numbers should be shocking people. We got $25 a gallon for alkaline. We got $48 a gallon for hydrogen. And we got $18 a gallon for oxygen water. Now, it makes oxygen water look like a hell of a deal.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, that's much cheaper. How much you pay for a gallon of milk? What, $4?
Fortunately now, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, thanks to this wonderful economy, it's much, much less affordable than it used to be.
Yeah.
But oxygen water is more than it's like 4.5 times the price of a gallon of milk. That's one of the cheaper ones. That's just stupid to me. So that's oxygen water. Then I'm going out of order here in case you're looking at my sheet.
All good.
I'm going to jump on your favorite, Soul Water.
Soul Water.
So we stumbled across Soul Water merely by accident. Mm-hmm. And my first thought was, what in the hell is Soul Water?
Right.
Is this like some spiritual thing? And it's SOLE, like the sole of your shoe. But what we have found is that soul water represents water that has Himalayan pink salts in it. So it's kind of funny because on our Dr. Drinking Water episode, he even said at one point, he's like, look, if you're really bent on getting your minerals from your water, if you feel like you need some trace minerals, a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt, throw that in your glass of water and you're done.
Right.
So you can do that, and you can get that stuff already put in there for $33.28 a gallon.
It's ridiculous. I mean, at that point,
ridiculous.
Just like do a reverse osmosis system and just put it in yourself.
Put it in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to buy a little block of that stuff and probably last you 3 months, 4 months.
Just buy the lamps.
A pinch. Yeah, just get the lamp.
Yeah.
That's it. Just rub your lamp over it every day. Lick the lamp.
Yeah, like sip and then lick the lamp, and then
sip and lick.
Sip and lick. We're gonna talk about this later.
Gosh,
I think we have a business idea coming.
Sip and lick.
Sip and lick.
We're gonna have shot glasses made out of Himalayan pink salt where you can put your purified water in, and you just fill it up and drink it, and boom, you got your soul water, your purified water, all in one. Actually, that is a good idea.
We have to establish.
We're establishing right now. Yeah, this is our idea.
We have to patent this before we release this podcast.
It's patent pending.
Yeah.
Yep. We are doing the application before you even hear this episode. What do we call it? Wait, good thing we got this recorded because I can't remember what name. Yeah. Sip and lick.
Sip and lick. Yeah.
Sip and lick.
Sip and lick.
That will get attention.
But anyways, soul water. Actually, I learned. I'm reading it right now. It is actually pronounced Soleil water.
Is it? So that hence the brand that came out, Soleil.
Yeah, which is so weird because that specific brand of Soleil water has no sodium in it. So
yeah, because it's not soul water. It's not Himalayan pink salt because Himalayan, by definition, the Himalayan pink salts are primarily sodium chloride.
Right.
I looked that one up because I wanted to find out, are they made up of potassium chloride? Because there are different salts out there, and I wanted to make sure that before we go on the air, I didn't put my foot in my mouth and say, oh, it's got to have sodium. But these, yes, it was verified. Himalayan pink salts are sodium chloride based. Mm-hmm. But for softeners, obviously we use almost 99.9% of all of our softeners use sodium chloride.
Right.
Salt. And the other folks, myself included actually, mainly because I just like experimenting with shit, but they use other salts like potassium chloride. And the difference is that a 40-pound bag of sodium chloride, regular salt, is around $8 to $10.
Right.
And a 40-pound bag of potassium chloride salt is in the 40s. So it's, almost 5 times more costly to run potassium. You may wonder, well, if they do the same thing, why the heck would you spend 5 times more?
Right.
Well, and I'll answer that. And this is a great time for that because we get this question a lot on folks that they need a system for their house, but they're worried because some of them have some green thumbs. And, they got a lot of plants, gardens, tomatoes, whatever. They do a lot of home gardening type stuff. And they'll ask me, they'll be like, hey, can we put soft water on our plants with the salt in it? And I said, no. You got to understand, there's not salt per se in your water. That's not how this works. When you soften water using a softener, there's these little plastic beads called resin, and it uses a process called ion exchange. And basically, these little beads have a negative charge on them. So they attract positively charged ions. So when they're fresh and charged up, if you use sodium chloride, the sodium sticks to the beads. And then what happens is the hardness, the calcium carbonate the calcium that's going by them will actually displace the sodium and stick to the bead instead. And the sodium is released in its place. So I guess it's not salt in your water. It's an exchange that slightly raises, depending on how bad your water is, the amount of sodium.
Right.
So that's the only difference. There's not salt in the water.
Right.
There's more sodium than there was before it went into the softener. And some sodium is not, generally speaking, is not like a fertilizer. A lot of plants have limits on how much sodium they can handle.
Right.
So that's why some folks are like, well, potassium is actually, a fertilizer. So when you switch over to potassium and then you're using your soft water, instead of you spraying sodium ions on the yard or the garden, you're actually putting potassium on there. So you're kind of like watering and feeding.
Right.
So other than that, there's really no benefit unless you happen to be one of these folks that don't want a reverse osmosis drinking water system and you insist on drinking your water out of the tap and you have a condition where you're on a sodium restrictive diet. Then the potassium becomes like a medical necessity.
Right.
So got way off topic with Himalayan salt and the suck and lick. What did we call it?
Lick and suck.
Lick and suck, yeah. It sounds better than suck and lick.
Lick and sip. Something like that. We have it recorded.
Lick and sip. That's it. That's it. Lick and sip. That's the one. We're going with that. So anyway, that's Soul Water. And Soul Water will set you back $33.28 a gallon. So that is, it's the number 2 most expensive fad water that you can get right now. Which brings us to the number 5. This is what number 5 of the real water. And when I say real water, you'll understand because the 6th one is completely different. But this last one, this blows my mind. Raw water. It's like the name implies. Right out of the ground, no nothing. Just untouched. And the way they market this stuff is they're like, it's completely untouched and, hasn't been altered by man. Well, that's not a good way to go.
Right.
Raw chicken hasn't been altered by man. If you were to try to eat it, you shouldn't eat it raw.
Right.
You should cook it. You should do some sort of processing on it because it will harm you in its raw state in most instances. So raw is not always better. And we were joking around. I gave Ethan the tour of the we call it the water library here, and we probably bring back 10 bottles of water a day back to the office. So this place is constantly looks like a friggin' hoarder of water in jugs and bottles, and it's an assortment of Gatorade bottles and milk bottles and Pepsi containers and Propel and
fruit jars.
We got a peanut jar over there with water in it and a prescription jar. You name it, if it can hold water, it's here. But most of these are raw water where folks want their stuff just, double checked. And I can tell you that that's one of the reasons why nobody in this office drinks bottled water is because we're all terrified that we're going to accidentally set ours down and grab one of those by mistake. And it actually happened to my wife once.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We all kind of looked at her and we're like, oh, no. You didn't just drink Mr. Andrews' sample water, did you? And she's like, oh, my God. It was kind of like the Crying Game. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. When the guy's in there trying to completely sanitize his mouth after he realized what he had done. So, yeah, it was kind of like that. But, yeah. If you want raw water, you can come to 805 East 9 Mile Road in Highland Springs, Virginia, and I will keep you so hydrated that it will, and you can do it for free. We have all sorts of raw water here. Some of it will just absolutely terrify you with the biologicals and all the stuff that's in it.
Yeah, there's one that looks like you just scooped some water up from a pond.
From a pond. It looks like a pond. There are some just foul things. And they can dress it up and wordsmith it however they want. And it's unaltered by man. The content is still pristine. No, it's raw and nasty. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So this one actually didn't surprise me. The raw water was the cheapest of all of the fad waters that we investigated.
Right.
And when I say cheap, I mean relatively cheap. So the recap of the real water here. The most expensive one was hydrogen water at $48 a gallon, followed by Soleil water, if you want to pronounce it that way, $33 a gallon. And then we had alkaline water at $25 a gallon. And then we had oxygen water at almost $19 a gallon. Raw water comes in at a whopping $15.18 a gallon. $15 for the kind of water that I would not give to an animal that I disliked, which is hard to find. Love animals.
Yeah, of course.
But I wouldn't even, some of this water, I literally won't even water our plants with it.
Yeah.
It's just that terrifying what's in it. So, yeah, you can get raw water. Oh, and there was, I had a funny note about that. The raw water, when did that crap come up? There we go. 2018, the New York Times did a trend piece and said, raw water is apparently the hot new fad around Silicon Valley. So they call it raw or unprocessed water, which proponents say has beneficial minerals that are removed from treated or filtered water, and doesn't include chemicals that are in tap water like fluoride and things like that, which, that's true. It doesn't have all the added garbage in it, but it's probably horrific to start with. But it went on to say that new startups are capitalizing on the trend and selling raw water. That guy, actually, there was a quote. There was I don't even know if they're still around right now. Live Water. They bottle raw water up, and that was the one at the beginning of the show when I said he gave that quote. Tap water, you're drinking toilet water with birth control drugs in it. So that was the one. So anyway, yeah, that stuff started about, looks like 6 years ago. People finally figured out that you can drink raw water. And coconut water. That's number 6.
Coconut water.
I've seen it. You've seen it. Have you drank coconut water?
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know what's in it?
Coconut juice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's juice. It's not. They call it coconut water, which makes me think it was like water mixed with coconut flavor.
Right.
No, it's just basically just liquefied coconut, and they filter out all the solid stuff. So it's literally coconut juice, and that will set you back $62 a gallon for coconut water. But I get it. You got to squeeze a coconut to get that stuff out of there.
Yeah. That's
pretty crazy.
Squeezing a coconut's pretty hard.
Yeah, I have tried that. It's not fun. So that's the top 6. I actually came up with one. If you're local to this area, Richmond, Virginia, for those of you that missed it earlier, I don't even know if I mentioned it on this one. I'm so used to just rolling right in like a bull in a china shop. There is a place in Richmond called Wayside Springs, and it is like this place downtown. When I say it's a hole in the ground, I'm not kidding. It's this really sketchy pipe, two pipes sticking out of the ground. Who knows what these pipes are composed of? No filtration, no nothing on this. You have no idea what's coming out of the ground. But the quotes are, it tastes wonderful. And it's free.
Huh.
And it tastes better than tap water. That's important, I guess.
Right. That
you're poisoning yourself with who knows what versus just getting a better system.
But it tastes good.
But it tastes wonderful. Yeah. You can't taste the bad stuff. So, that covers those. What are we?
We are at 53 minutes.
53. That's like a whole show almost.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we try to keep it about 58. There are some other things out there. You know what? Let's talk about pictures, because that's the other thing that we run into. Folks are like, I'm fine. I got a Brita, or these folks are really proud about how much money they spent on their Berkey. And yep, I just said the name, and there's going to be a lot of hate mail about this one. The Berkey, at the time of all of this research, apparently is not able to be sold in California nor in Iowa. So, California and Iowa are apparently more strict on their drinking water devices than all the other 49 states that are out there. And they require that, actually, it was a good, I don't want to mess up the quote there. All right, I'm going to wing it, because basically it says that any water treatment device in the state of California, and I'm trying to remember the exact words, but I'm going to paraphrase by saying that any water treatment device cannot be approved for sale unless it has been third-party tested by places like NSF. So NSF does their certifications out there, and they do this for third-party reasons, so that basically these folks send their stuff on in there, and NSF tears it apart and basically, make sure that it's good for the claims that they make.
Right.
So Berkey did not do these things to the satisfaction of California, especially, and Iowa, which is funny because that's where I grew up and I drank from a hose. But so Berkey, we got a hold. If you go on the Berkey website, you can actually validate all this stuff until they pull it all down. But if you look on there, they use their own, quote, independent lab. I'm not saying that lab wasn't impartial or anything. I'm saying that the lab took what they were given and did a very specific process on it. And the Black Berkey, for example. So this one here they have tested this Envirotech Laboratories. They've tested it for a whole crap load of contaminants, and and it's fine. I'm not refuting the removal rates. And I didn't say remove. I said removal rate, which is a much different thing. And for those of you that didn't catch that, I'll never say remove, because remove implies that it's gone 100%. Right. We reduce things. So if you ever find somebody on the that's talking water treatment and they claim to be a professional and they say they're going to remove everything, run away, because they're not as educated as they claim to be. But anyway, the removal rates on this are very impressive, actually. But what I can't find now that I found before was the method that they had used on this laboratory. So the Berkey Black, they say right on their website that one cartridge is good for 3,000 gallons of water filtration, which is interesting because the test that they actually, the lab used a sample of water that had contaminants in it, because obviously if you use pure water and you're running all these removal rates, you're going to get zeros and go, oh, it's great. So they have to start with water that actually has some stuff in it. So this solution of raw water, which some people would find a delicacy, I guess, there was 120 or 125 gallons. Even if I err on the side of caution and say it was the 125 gallons of solution, that's all they ran through it.
Right.
Which is fine. They got good removal rates for 125 gallons.
Right.
But they're claiming that it is going to continue to have those removal rates for 3,000 gallons.
Up to 3,000 gallons. It's kind of crazy.
That's goofy. I mean, and this is where they're getting in some legal trouble. Let me put it in perspective. If you're going to buy a car and you went to, Schmo car maker, and you said, how long is this car going to last? And they said, this car is absolutely going to last you 100,000 miles. And you go, well, okay, well, how many tests have you done? What kind of miles have you actually achieved with it? And they go, 4,167 was the most we ever tested. And that's when your antenna would go up on your scam alert, and you'd probably be like, man, that's not even the first oil change.
Right.
I know I stole your thunder on that one.
Hey.
But yeah, if you go ahead, you can't even get to your first oil change, and you're going to go ahead and say, "Oh yeah, it's definitely going to last 100,000 miles based on what we saw." That's I don't think that's entirely honest. There's something fishy about that. So I'm not a big fan of the Berkey because of that. And anybody that wants to hate mail me, go ahead and check it out for yourself, because facts don't care about feelings. It's just that simple. So watch out for claims that are ridiculous. And yeah, that was looks like that's one of my parting words. Otherwise, we're going to be over, and I got to have some content for next time.
Hey, I mean, it's your show, man.
Yeah, no,
it's up to you.
No, we'll keep it consistent. I like consistent. So I feel like this show had a lot more energy and stuff in it than last week. So if you gutted through last week's, thank you for coming back. And hopefully we will be able to keep your attention for next week's episode. If you need any help, it's funny, I get calls quite regularly now. ConnecticutRichmond.com is our website. Connecticut Richmond is our YouTube channel. Just had a guy 2 days ago said he called because he saw the YouTube video, and I actually helped him troubleshoot his softener just by watching the video. He found out he had a plugged up drain. Huh. And I'm listening to him. I'm like, yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. And I'm like, what did the guy look like in the video? And he's like, he was bald. I was like, yep, that was me. That was back in the bald phase. But anyway, so YouTube channels out there. Hope that it helps. And then we've got, obviously, Water Guy Podcast, which you're listening to now. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It's great for our motivation and our internal egos here, and it just helps to keep us trudging along and coming up with new, fresh content for you. So thank you, and we'll catch you next time.